Oh, Redfin, have you now changed your mind and now you're saying the housing market is starting a recovery?
Oh.
Look, I get it. Nobody can predict what's going to happen with the housing market. I totally get it. And even though last month I did a video reporting on Redfin's housing predictions for 2023, I will give Redfin some credit because they did say this could potentially happen where we could see the market starting to rebound earlier in the year, kind of like a CYA. Okay. I get it. This week, I have Redfin's latest market update, and they're saying that the housing market is starting to recover. So let's dive into this right now. And I'm all about my opinion and I'm going to share it. So let's get started. If you saw my video last week, you saw how I talked about how the lower mortgage interest rates were going to bring back bidding wars. Well, Redfin is in agreement with that too. And they do mention it here in their report. So the market is definitely picking back up again, but this recovery is going to be a slow one for sure. It's not going to be booming like it was 2 years ago, but from November to now, there's definitely an uptick in sales and activity in the housing market. So let's see what Redfin has to say. The housing market has begun to recover after hitting a low point in the second week of November, according to a new report from Redfin. The number of Redfin customers requesting first tours has improved 17 percentage points from the November trough, and the number of people contacting Redfin agents to start the home buying process has improved 13 percentage points. Compared with a year ago, home tours and requests for service are down 23 and 27% respectively, but that's an improvement from the November trough when both were down 40%. This is already translating into more home sales. Redfin agents report that bidding wars are back in some markets, including Seattle, Central Florida, and Richmond, Virginia. Homebuyer demand remains down from its early 2022 highs, but the market has shifted into a new phase and well-priced listings are selling quickly. Yeah, that makes complete sense. This next part of their report, I found this really interesting. So for you homebuyers out there that haven't purchased yet and you're looking to buy this year, do you agree with this statement? Do you agree with what Redfin is saying here? Let me read this. Homebuyers return as power dynamics shift toward their favor. Buyers have acclimated to the 6% mortgage rate, which feels like a relief after watching affordability erode as rates surpass 7% in the fall. Some buyers are even scoring a rate that starts with a 5, an important psychological threshold, while others are opting for an adjustable rate mortgage or getting a rate buy down as a seller concession. How do you people feel about this? My first time buyers out there, or anybody who's buying right now, have you acclimated to that 6% rate? Are you in acceptance of this now? For those of you out there buying, tell me to comment below. I thought that was an interesting remark that they made. I can see that. I think some people have just accepted the fact that, yeah, it is what it is 6%, or it could be in the fives. The problem is prices are still too high. So we're going to get a little bit deeper into that later on in this report where we talk about the sellers and how they're still not accepting of what's going on in this market. The report goes on to say, bidding wars are back in some markets. While demand is coming back in some pockets of the country, it's selective. Homes that are eliciting bidding wars tend to be affordable, suburban, single family, move-in ready, and most importantly, priced competitively. Most everything else is sitting. Well, yeah. I mean, this happened even before the pandemic, back in 2019, 2018, and prior to that, when you had a house that showed well and it was priced right, of course it's going to sell fast. And you're going to have multiple offers in those situations too. Look, back when I had listings prior to the pandemic, I had some scenarios where I had multiple offers. So we didn't have like 10 or 15 offers like I had in the past 2 years, but there would be like 3 or 4 offers on one property and it would be over asking price. As long as the house is priced competitively, absolutely. People are going to jump all over that. Now, it goes on to say here, preliminary data on the share of Redfin agents' offers facing bidding wars points to a small upticks in the Seattle and Tampa markets this month. As this is an uneven trend, Redfin expects it to take some time before bidding wars nationally show an upward trend. Bidding wars are back in Seattle. Now, this is from a Redfin real estate agent, Shoshana Godwin. One of our Issaquah listings got 12 offers and is under contract for $155,000 over the $1.4 million list price. Oh my God, I cringe reading that. It just brings back memories that I really don't want to think about. Just not fun. No. It also goes on to say here, in that situation, the buyer waived every contingency, handed over $300,000 of earnest money, and is letting the seller stay there for free for 2 months after closing. Another home in Seattle's popular Ballard neighborhood was recently delisted after sitting on the market for over 3 months. The seller relisted it last week, and it went pending in under a day. It's coming back. The bidding wars are coming back. It's not every market. There are some markets in this country that are taking a hit. The prices are definitely coming down. But I'm curious to see what happens in those markets if the bidding wars are going to go back again, because now
Right. I totally agree.
it's really just very interesting times that we are in right now.
Right. I totally agree.
Before you move forward onto this video, because I know it's just riveting information and you just want to keep watching, you got to do me a favor. You got to hit the like button. And then if you're not a subscriber, you can subscribe too. Like, it's a fun community here. It really is. So subscribe. Thanks. Now it goes on to say places like Boise, Idaho. Boise is one of those markets that's taking a big hit right now. It says in Boise, Idaho, bidding wars are still almost non-existent, despite the fact that prices have been falling year over year since November. According to local Redfin agent Shauna Pendleton, it's taken between 1 and 2 weeks to get an offer after a showing. Still 1 to 2 weeks, that's not bad. If it was sitting on the market for like a month before getting an offer, that's a concern. But 1 to 2 weeks, that's not bad. Now, how are the condos and luxury homes doing right now? Well, not so great, according to Redfin. The market for condos and expensive homes lags behind. Condos and higher priced homes are still a struggle to sell. Redfin agents report that sellers of expensive homes and condos are offering buyers incentives to close deals. The condo market in Washington, D.C. has been hit hard, said local Redfin agent Marshall Carey. Condo sellers are searching for ways to incentivize buyers. One of my buyers recently purchased a condo, and we got the seller to give them 3% of the list price back in cash. My buyer used 2% of that to buy down their mortgage rate. There's a ton of demand for affordable suburban homes, but the super high end isn't in demand. This is coming from Chicago Redfin agent Dan Close. Property taxes are very expensive, so buying a $2 million home isn't practical for most people. Yeah, here in Bergen too, in New Jersey, Bergen County and other parts of New Jersey, again, depending on the town, depending on the market, the luxury market's definitely taken a hit. Those homes are sitting way longer. I mean, and here in Northern New Jersey, the taxes are they're just outrageous. That's like a full mortgage payment in and of itself. It really is. I mean, some of these taxes are in the $20,000, $30,000 range a year in some of these towns. Yeah, it's a lot. So I can see why the luxury market is taking a hit. As I mentioned before, what about the sellers? What's going to happen with inventory? Well, let's see what they have to say. Sellers have been slower to return than buyers. Even though home buyer demand is improving, the main factor driving bidding wars is low inventory. It's not surprising that sellers are slower to embrace the shifting market, as buyers tend to react first to falling mortgage rates, with sellers following suit months later. This effect is likely to be pronounced in 2023. Would-be sellers are more sensitive to elevated rates because 85% of mortgage holders have a rate far below today's level of roughly 6%. Where have we heard that before? That being said, Redfin's measure of people contacting Redfin agents to sell their home has improved slightly. It's up 10 percentage points from the November trough, but there hasn't yet been a significant boost in listings nationwide. New listings fell 18% year over year during the 4 weeks ending January 22nd. That's the smallest decrease in almost 3 months, but much steeper than the 8% decline a year earlier. Redfin agents have observed in their conversations with homeowners that there's fear around listing at a time when home price growth has been shrinking and buyers are regaining power. Homeowners are scared to list because they previously heard that there's no demand from buyers. That's making the market competitive again because there's just no inventory. Redfin economists expect that more sellers will likely return to the market as home buyer demand increases and price growth stabilizes, especially given that there's a pent-up supply from sellers who delisted their homes in the fall when the market was slowing. I like their thought process behind this. I can get behind that. But I keep going back to the whole thing, and I talked about this last week, where 85% of homeowners have an interest rate below 4%, at 4% or lower. Again, it comes back to that question, where are they going? I really do hope what they're saying here is that once sellers do see the buyer demand coming back, even more so, that they'll be willing to put their house on the market. But the thing is, sellers have to get real. I say this every week. I feel like I say it every week. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. I'm always beating that dead horse.
Yeah.
Sellers need to get real about their price. I'm still seeing it when some homes come on the market. I can't believe what people are asking, and they're not in line with what the current market is. They're too high.
But listen up now. This is serious.
And then they get upset. Why isn't my house selling? Because people aren't going to pay for your overpriced home. Not right now with the way the interest rates are. You need to be competitive. So if you're going to hire a real estate agent, listen to what they have to say regarding pricing. They're going to do a market analysis of your neighborhood. It gets that local to your neighborhood, not just the town. And they're going to recommend a price range. Do not go beyond that price range. Don't go above it, and don't ignore them and say they don't know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about. So if you really are serious about selling, get a market analysis. If the number you have in your head is way higher than what the real estate agent is telling you, don't waste your time putting it on the market. It's going to sit. And then you're going to get more aggravated as time goes on. The house isn't selling. Why isn't it selling? And then buyers are going to start offering you way under asking price, and you're going to get even more upset. If you're serious about selling, get real about your price. Now, to wrap this up, Redfin continues on to say, the recovery will be touch and go and vary from block to block. The housing market will likely continue to thaw in the coming weeks and months, especially if inflation and mortgage rates ebb further. But there's still a long way to go. Some neighborhoods will see fierce bidding wars while others hear crickets. The market is warming up, but it's still cold compared to the pandemic home buying frenzy and even pre-pandemic times. It may never again hit the scalding hot temperature of 2021. Thank you, Redfin. Thank you for saying that. It makes me happy to see a company like this that's actually admitting to that we're not going to see these prices again. It's just not happening. The factor most likely to slow or reverse the housing market recovery is that there are too few homes for sale, which could hold back total sales volumes and price people out of home buying. Even though housing costs are declining, they remain significantly higher than they were 2 years ago. Home prices will likely be sticky this year in many places, where there are still plenty of stale listings. Once they finally sell, they will hold back price growth, with overall low inventory keeps prices from going down much. Now, it also says here the housing market could rebound. The housing market rebound could stall or slip if the progress the Fed has made toward cooling inflation slows or reverses course. The labor market is likely to weaken this year, perhaps to the point where the country is in a recession. Higher unemployment will hurt the housing market recovery, but that damage may be offset by any rate cuts from the Fed. Yeah, so that's the biggest thing we have to look at with the economy. We want to look at the job market. Okay, because once we start seeing that happening, there's more layoffs. And, we just saw Google, Amazon, they're laying off thousands of people. But if that continues and we're seeing more job layoffs and it's affecting the job market, you bet your bottom that the housing market will follow that. But let's see. Like they said here, hopefully with the Feds keeping the rates down and that affects the mortgage rates, maybe it won't be so bad. But we shall see. As always, we can't predict the future. I can't, Redfin can't, Zillow can't. We don't know what the heck's going to happen. But you know what? The best we can do is just keep an eye on it, monitor it, and get educated about this, right? As I always say, knowledge is power. So don't be afraid. Don't stress out. Teach yourself. Read what's out there online and talk to your local real estate agent. They are the experts and they know what's going on in your local market. Okay, so that is Redfin's report for January. And if you like to hear more about anything else going on in the housing market, well, I got some stuff over here you can check out. As always, if you need my assistance, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is down below in that description box. Thanks for joining me today to get your dose of real estate reality. My name is Jackie Baker, and I will see you next time.